Today, it's time to make some lasagna. I don't know about your husbands, but when my husband goes with me to the store, somehow or another, things jump into the grocery cart that weren't on the list. And that happened the other day. He put some Italian sausage in. And so we are going to make lasagna. And I actually don't mind when he does that because then I know I'm cooking what he wants. So it's all a win-win. We got the Italian sausage and we're going to make lasagna. And you get to come along with us today and you can make it too. Come on. Hop in and make it with us. Hi, I'm Mary Catherine and welcome to my table. Let's make lasagna. The first thing that we're going to do is get our Italian sausage going. And let me show you how I'm doing mine. We bought it in these links. Now you can also buy it in a package where it comes just like ground beef, but it comes in these links in the package that we bought it. And so all I'm going to do is kind of split it with my knife and get that casing off. And then I've already got some in the pan here ready where I've taken the casing off already. It just makes it easier to brown and get ready for lasagna since we're going to use it this way instead of in the links. Now, at the same time that I'm browning the sausage, I want to also put a little bit of sweet onion in it. I have a Vidalia onion, and it goes really nicely with that Italian sausage. So I have already started chopping it. What I have done, I've taken off one side and peeled the onion, but I've left the other root here in it. And so then you just make small little slits. You can kind of see all around where I've done that. I'm going to show you just the last few pieces like this, but the onion is still attached together. And then we can turn it up this way. And I have a small knife. I'm not going to do a lot of, well, let me switch to a large knife. It'll do it a little bit easier since this is such a large onion. And so then I'm just going to take it. And then when you go and make your cuts, you have your small pieces already. So I don't need a lot of onion for this recipe. It's already going to have lots of flavor. So I'm just going to do maybe about 3 cuts here. And I'll save the rest of my onion for something else. Okay, let's go put it in the skillet. I hear the sausage starting to sizzle, and I want this to just cook right along with it. So we're going to put it in right now. And now I'm just going to kind of start breaking it up. You know how to do this. You brown ground beef. This is pretty much the same principle. We just want to brown this and get it ready to use in our lasagna. And see, this is much easier to do now that we have that casing off. That casing would just kind of want to keep it in the chunks as it cooks down. And I just wanted it to all be able to break up and brown like a ground beef would. So that's what we're going to end up with here. Okay, let's let it go a little bit longer. And then we'll come back and break it up a little more. While it's going, come with me back over here and we're going to get our ricotta filling ready. I have got a large container of ricotta cheese. This is 32 ounces. I'm going to go ahead and mix it all up because I'm probably going to make a second lasagna later just to have for something else. But if you're only making one lasagna, you really only need the 16 ounce of ricotta cheese. Use my knife here and cut that plastic open. They make it where you have to cut it. I'll just take about half of it out now and show you for one lasagna. And to this, we're just going to add 1 egg. If you're using the whole thing of ricotta, go ahead and use your second egg. But for one recipe, just use 1 egg. And then I'm going to sprinkle just a little bit of garlic powder. Just do that to taste. We're already going to have a lot of flavor in this lasagna, but I just want to be sure we've got some in every layer. So I'm also going to use some Italian seasonings, just a little sprinkle, and then a little bit of parsley. Okay? And then we're just going to mix this up until that egg is incorporated into the ricotta cheese. All right, that looks pretty good. And that just helps it be a little creamier, helps it spread better, and that egg adds flavor to it as well. So that should be a good filling for us. All right, let's go check our sausage. Now, I probably have about 1.5 pounds of sausage in here, maybe even just a little bit more. I don't think it's quite 2 pounds though. But we want a good hearty serving of sausage in our lasagna. That gives it so much flavor. So it's a pretty healthy serving. You know, you can just use ground beef in your lasagna if that's what you prefer, or if that's what you have already on hand. Ground beef makes a really good lasagna. But the Italian sausage does have some added flavor that just pairs so nicely with all the other ingredients that we have in lasagna. And my husband really prefers it this way, so when I make it, I tend to use the Italian sausage. And that's what we're doing today, but it'll be good either way. One thing you may notice is that I'm not cooking my lasagna noodles. I'm actually not going to do that today. We're just going to use them dry. They're going to cook up just fine in our lasagna. I'll show you a little trick that I use that's going to make them come out just perfect. In the meantime, while our sausage finishes those last couple minutes, I'm going to take a bag. This is just a plain old Ziploc bag. It's not fancy at all. You probably all got some on hand. And I'm going to take our ricotta cheese filling and I'm going to put it in the bag. It's going to make it easy to pipe right where we want it for our lasagna. And I'll show you how to do that when we start putting it all together in just a few minutes. I just turn the top of the bag back, make it a little easier to get all this in. And I'm going to close it up. And we'll cut a corner in just a few minutes and have it ready to use. Oh yeah, hardly see any pink at all. And if you do have a little pink left, that's okay because it's going to cook for quite a while baking in your oven. So the rest of it will finish cooking just the way it needs to. So this is about the stage I'm going to stop it. What I'm actually going to do at this point, I'm turning it down on low. And if you have a lot of grease in the bottom, here's what you can do. I'm just going to get a few paper towels and we're just going to soak up a little bit of that grease. We don't want a lot of it left. So I'm going to kind of tilt my pan so that the grease will run down to one side where my paper towels are. There, see, we got some. Let's do it again with the other side of the paper towels. And kind of get you a clear spot in the pan. Okay, I think that'll be pretty good. There's still a little bit of grease in there, but that's also going to give some good flavor. So we're not going to get it all out at this point. But what I am going to do, I'm going to go ahead and turn it off. I think we're good to go there. I'm going to go ahead and take our jar. And I am just using a jar of marinara sauce. Now you can use whatever you like. If you want to make homemade, that's great. I'm sure that will be delicious. If you have a certain favorite brand, use whatever you like. You really can't go wrong with this. You're already going to have so much flavor from the sausage and from the other ingredients we put in. So use whatever kind of marinara you want to. But I'm going to take my jar and go ahead and pour it in now. And then here's the little trick that I was talking about a few minutes ago. We're going to take our jar and we're going to add some water to it. And that's going to do a couple of things. I'm going to add maybe a third to a half a jar, no more than half a jar. That's not quite half. And so this is going to clean out our jar because we're going to put our lid back on it and then we're going to shake it up so we get all that yummy marinara sauce. See how clean the jar looks now? And then we're also going to pour this in here. And that added liquid is going to soak into the noodles while it bakes in the oven. And that's why we did not have to go and boil our noodles separately first. You can do that if you like. I did it for years, but this is just an easy alternative. Makes one less pot that you have to mess up in your kitchen, because lasagna is already kind of a messy thing, I feel like. But you can see it makes this fairly liquidy, but don't get scared by that, because you're going to have plenty of flavor, and that extra liquid is just going to soak into those noodles. That's what's going to make them perfect. They're going to be cooked just the way you want them to. Now it's about time to start putting our lasagna together. So I've got my 9x13 pan here, and I'm going to spray it good, because with all that ooey gooey cheesy goodness on the lasagna, it's going to be quite messy. So here's this. I'll get some of our noodles kind of out, and let me bring that skillet over here with our sauce, okay? And I'm actually going to start with some sauce in the bottom of our pan. So I've got me a spoon where I can kind of control the portion pretty easily. And I just want a thin layer of the sauce in the very bottom. It's probably not going to end up being quite half of this, a little bit less than half, because I'd rather have more of it up in the lasagna. But I want just a bed of this sauce for the noodles to lay in. And this is where we're going to take our ricotta cheese, and I'm just going to cut a pretty good sized corner out of the bag. Let me set that to the side. And I'm going to lay a noodle on here so you can see it as I go. And I'm just going to kind of squeeze all of this down into the corner where I cut. And then I'm going to take a strip, and I'm just going to kind of line the noodle with some ricotta. Let me squish that back in. And then I'm going to set another noodle on top. I don't know if the camera's going to pick it up, but you can kind of see that ricotta squeeze out throughout the noodle underneath. Got a good picture of that? Can you see it? Okay, and so then we're going to just start lining these in our pan. I'm going to go ahead and set a couple of noodles. I'll do 2 of them. All right. I'm just going to set it right on top. And if a little bit squeezes out the end, that's no big deal. It's all going to cook together anyway. All right, now what we can do, I'm going to try to fit all of these in here. Just kind of stack them a little bit on top of each other, but you're going to have a good layer of the noodles with that cheese in the middle. And then I'm going to take, at this point, just a little bit of mozzarella and sprinkle right here, so it'll be kind of in this middle part of the lasagna. Not a ton of it, because we want more on top. All right, now let's take some more sauce. And at this point, I'm going to pick up my pan. You do it however you want to. But I'm going to kind of start pouring. And do just a little bit more, and then reserve the rest for the top of our lasagna. And for this row, I might just do them flat across. So probably 3 or 4. Oop. Okay, now let's use the rest of our sauce just to line the top. And now let's take a healthy serving of this mozzarella and put over the top. All right, that looks perfect. And And it does smell good in this kitchen. That Italian sausage, smells good while it's cooking. Now all we have left to do is to bake it. Look at that. This smells so good. So we ended up cooking the lasagna at 350 degrees, and it needs the better part of an hour, probably around 45 minutes minimum. And what I ended up doing, I left the foil on top of the pan for about the first 20, 30 minutes. And then I took it off for the last little bit of the cooking. And you may want to do that too. If you want yours to get a little bit browner on top, you can just leave the foil off. I just wanted to be sure mine didn't get too brown. But anyway, let's give it a taste. See how that cheese oozing? Okay. That had some of that good Italian sausage in that bite. It's so good. It really does add a lot of flavor. You could even do partial ground beef and partial Italian sausage. If you wanted to use a little bit of both, that would be delicious too. This only has the Italian sausage in, and it makes a delicious lasagna. Thank you so much for joining me today at Mary Catherine's Table. I'm really glad you were here. I think your family's going to love this lasagna. You know, I know this is one of those foods that you can pick up at the grocery store, already prepared in the freezer, bring it home and pop it in your oven, and it makes it so easy to do it that way. But let me tell you what, it's worth a little extra effort to make it homemade, because you just can't get it in one of those boxes at the store that's going to taste as good as your homemade lasagna. So make it for your family today. And you can even make a couple at the same time and freeze one of them for later, and then cook it a little bit longer when you take it out of the freezer. That would be a great option too. But anyway, I'm so glad you were here today with me at Mary Catherine's Table. Hit the subscribe button if you want to see more content like this. Share us with your friends, and check us out at marycatherinestable.com. And again, remember to find someone today who needs a little bit of kindness and give them some of yours.